Even when he is dressed in a lumpy Patriots sweatshirt and stocking cap, standing before a wall of cameras, Tom Brady manages to look regal. He is so guarded, so calm and Kennedy-esque as he listens, nods and then gracefully says nothing. It's almost easy to forget what a competitive lunatic he becomes on the field. Put Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. in front of a referee who he believes has missed a holding call. Put him in front of a wide receiver who ran the wrong route. Watch him stand face mask to face mask with a linebacker who he openly loathes, and he is anything but Clooney cool. His voice, measured and steady in casual conversation, climbs 3 octaves when it's swarmed by the fires of football, becoming as shrill and intense as the squeal of an owl. He is an F-bomb dropping, spittle spraying, mini tornado of fury. He is in those moments, and this is said with genuine admiration, a ferocious ass who wants to win so badly that on the field he cares not one bit about his brand or the image he's supposed to project and protect. It has always been the most revealing and raw aspect of Brady's personality. Consider, for example, his most recent bout of competitive mania. In the Patriots' 27-0 AFC divisional playoff win over the Chiefs, Brady made a surprising second-quarter dash for the end zone, only to be drilled hard in the back at the goal line by Kansas City safety Tyvon Branch. It was like watching your uncle drive the lane while wearing snow boots in a UK basketball game, horrifying and mesmerizing. As the referees huddled and eventually declared that Brady had not scored a touchdown, the quarterback jumped to the sideline, his temper close to a boil. The crowd, energized by what had just transpired, began chanting his name. Brady put his arm around New England offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels and began roaring and shaking McDaniels' neck like an agitated lion. He wanted New England to challenge the call. McDaniels informed him the team had already thrown a challenge flag. But Brady was so charged with adrenaline, he was barely listening. Wide receiver Julian Edelman, one of Brady's closest friends, could not suppress his laughter from a few feet away. Anytime the big Clydesdale gets going down the field, Edelman said, it gets everybody all fired up. This season, Brady seemed determined to narrow his focus, to tighten his inner circle and block out distractions in pursuit of a 5th Super Bowl ring. No football player in the history of the game has ever been so good for so long while artfully finding ways to keep the public at arm's length. With the criticism of Deflategate still hanging in the air, it seemed likely Brady would make his case for football immortality with the polite aloofness and cold-blooded comeback. We are, as of this week, 1 year removed from the strange kabuki theater that started Deflategate. That the case is still pending seems somewhat improbable, but it's true. The NFL's appeal of Brady's 4-game suspension getting overturned in federal court is scheduled for March 3rd. What is clear, looking back, is not so much Brady's definitive guilt or innocence, but rather how much smaller this controversy likely would have been if it hadn't involved Brady. The Vikings and Panthers, for instance, were both issued warnings for using sideline heaters to warm footballs on a cold day just a month and a half before the AFC Championship game. The error-filled media leaks, the pearl-clutching concern about the integrity of the game, an investigation that seemed determined to find guilt as much as facts, a comedy of circumstance interwoven with league politics, all of it is surreal in retrospect. If you believe that the NFL and the media tried to break him, and you can bet plenty of people believe these things, and not just those who reside in New England and practice their shirtless Rob Gronkowski spikes in front of the mirror, you can't help but feel a sense of satisfaction that he is still standing, determined as ever. Tom Brady is one of the most misunderstood athletes or celebrities that we have in this country, said one of Brady's former teammates, who won a Super Bowl with him early in his career. If you can't look at what Brady's done and appreciate and embrace who he is, then you're missing what's great about America. If Deflategate offered a hidden blessing, if not for him, then for us it was the reveal of little windows into Brady, buried in snippets of depositions and emails turned over as evidence. At some point during his career, likely around the time he married a woman whose fame and income dwarfed even his own, he ascended to a level of celebrity that is almost impossible for mortals to comprehend. You might trash your cell phone too if you feared its contents would leak along with whatever is left of your privacy. Every Instagram post, every scarf choice, every scooter ride in the park with his kids sparks minor hysteria. His admission, just recently, that he has never so much as tried a cup of coffee was reported with the kind of breathless fervor that rivals an Edward Snowden disclosure. Even the smallest things in Brady's daily life. Check out this vine of Brady doing an awkward dad dance. Set off a frenzy of gawking, sharing and arguing. I don't think a lot of people know personally who I am, Brady said in early September during a radio interview. They may know what they think I may be, or what they see on the TV screen when I'm exposed publicly to them. For people who may think they know, or have snippets of who I am, you can attack that person. That's part of being a public figure. The mundanities of his life, though, were oddly compelling. Like so many of us, he has stepped on his phone, dropped it out of his bag and watched the screen shatter against the floor. He can't remember if he has read every boring memo sent around by his bosses. He texts more often than he calls, approximately 9,000 during one 4-month period, or close to 75 per day. He refers to people as babe and bud when he wants them to feel comfortable. The Manning email caused quite the kerfuffle when it was disclosed. Brady apologized to Manning by text, of course, but it's eerily prophetic now. Although they meet this week for the fourth time in an AFC championship game, their current campaigns could scarcely have been more different. Brady threw for 4,770 yards and 36 touchdowns, and he completed more passes, 402, than he had during any previous season of his career. Manning started just 9 games and threw fluttering ducks in most of them, surviving more on guile and intelligence than ability or arm strength. Manning threw 17 interceptions during the regular season, second most in the NFL, behind Blake Bortles, who threw 35 touchdowns to Manning's 9, and he posted the lowest quarterback rating, 67.9, in the league among quarterbacks with 200 attempts. Although Manning returned to help Denver win its regular season finale against San Diego, and while he played serviceably in the Broncos' victory over Pittsburgh in the AFC Divisional Playoff, he is limping into the sunset, while Brady has barely glanced in the direction of the horizon. What was more interesting about the texts, though, was the private acknowledgement from Brady that he, too, looks at Manning the way most of us do, as the comparative measuring stick of his career. As different as they are, one is football royalty and was the No. 1 pick in the draft, the other lost his starting job in college and was selected with the 199th pick. They cannot shake one another. They are the two most important figures of this pass-happy era by almost any objective and statistical measure. And for the first half of their careers, we viewed them not unlike we once viewed Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio. One guy had great statistics, but how many championships did the other guy win? One man came to be viewed as the epitome of clutch, while the other couldn't seem to shake the reputation that he was often mediocre in his team's biggest games. In the second half of their careers, Brady's reputation as a cerebral quarterback grew in stature along with his passing stats, but it never entirely caught up to Manning's. Rex Ryan, the NFL's most entertaining troll, if not quite its most successful head coach, seemed to delight in needling Brady about this, often pointing to the fact that Manning has always called his own plays, unlike Brady. "There's nobody like this guy in the league," Ryan once said of Manning. "Nobody studies like him. I know Brady thinks he does. I think there's probably a little more help with Bill."